All right, everyone, thank you for joining. We're going to go ahead and get started here. We might have a few more people join us, but I just wanted to take a couple of moments and just thank you all for joining us. We know that the situation we're in right now is a little bit unique, and people are having to work from home. And we just wanted to try to come up with an idea of something that we could do to help people work remotely that typically haven't worked remotely. So this is something we've been working very hard on over the last week to kind of get together for you. It's just kind of a starting place for you all, like best practices to start if you've never worked remotely before, because it can be challenging at times. I just want to let you know that all of us here at Dido, we work 100% remotely. So, I've learned a lot of best practices from my other team members around this, and I've learned some along the way. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to kind of share with you what that looks like to work remotely and to stay productive. So that being said, I would like to do just a couple of introductions here right now. Let me make sure everything is good here with Amanda. Amanda, are you all good?
I am, yeah. Thanks, David.
Perfect.
I just wanted to introduce David as well and say a quick thank you to also reiterate what David said there. So my name is Amanda Kopp. I'm the Director of Cloud Productivity and Collaboration Services, and we're really happy that you guys joined us today. We know that it's a very interesting setting that we've switched to, and very quickly. We know that this shift to remote work came very suddenly. So we're looking to do as a company and as your partners really through all of this is find out what are some ways that we can make this easier and to be with you through all of this. So as David had mentioned, Dido's actually been a completely remote company since 2007. So we have employees and clients across all kinds of time zones. We've helped businesses like yours or that you are a part of transition to a remote environment or simply get started using cloud collaborative tools to make working from anywhere individually or as a team possible and productive. So here to talk to you more about that and actually demonstrate what a typical day in the life of someone that works entirely remotely looks like is my colleague David Sanchez, who's a cloud productivity and collaboration trainer here at Dido. So you're in excellent hands with David. We'll be playing a bit of a demo situation here of what our day would look like together. I also wanted to introduce myself as well because I'll be manning the question pane. So if you guys have any questions as David's going through anything or something else comes to mind that you'd like us to either cover in this session or future sessions, please feel free to put that in the question section. This session will be recorded and David will send that out and we'll send that out to you guys as well as supplemental materials after the session. So again, we're here to help you. We want to make sure that we give you as much as we possibly can and share that wealth of knowledge that we've had living this firsthand. We know even for those of us that have worked remotely before, the environments a bit changed because of what's going on, and you might have kids at home as you're trying to work remotely, and that might be different from the environment that you're in before, or perhaps you had to change locations. So here to talk to you about some of those challenges and ways to work around those and stay focused and get things done is David Sanchez. So I'll hand it over to him. Thanks, everyone.
My gosh, Amanda, thank you. That was an amazing intro. That was great. I feel so important now.
You are.
So, yeah, oh, thank you. I'm blushing. So here's our agenda for today. So very simply, we're gonna see what we love about remote work, which is awesome. Some of the challenges that are very commonly experienced while working remotely, and then as Amanda just mentioned, we're actually going to do like a day in the life walkthrough of like what a typical day looks like, how we collaborate, how we can kind of, keep everything moving forward even while we're working remotely. And at times, I'm going to show you that you can be even more productive working remotely than you can sometimes in that office environment, right? So I got to give a shout out to my boy Gibson, who's in here right now, who sent me this photograph yesterday, which is working from home. Manager waiting for your email while you're still sleeping, right? Because we've moved from this office environment to now we're working from home, and we like, oh, we're going to set these hours from 8 to 5 or whatever that looks like, and this might be you as Jerry still sleeping. So what we have over here on the right is just a quick little tip for you to be able to send an email at 8 o'clock in the morning, so that that person knows that you're awake and ready to go. So I really want to talk through some of these points. So opportunities versus challenges, right? So our opportunities, the things that work well working from home is just the flexibility in general, number one, right? And the lack of commute has been one of my favorite things. I used to work an hour away from where I currently am. So that was 2 hours of my day. That's gas money, that's mileage on my vehicle. You know, I personally filled up my gas tank probably about a week and a half ago, and it's still on full. It's absolutely amazing. I also find that there's less distractions because I've set up my work environment properly, and we're going to talk through that a little bit. You do have the ability to work from anywhere. So, you know, I've actually been on the road at times for different things or different events or whatever, and I can just work from anywhere, regardless of where I'm at. And we'll talk through some of that. Obviously, in this type of environment, I've had increased productivity from an office environment. My last job involved a cubicle space with like six amazing people around me, but you know, you're constantly being bombarded, if you will, with stuff that they have going on, and it could potentially take away from your productivity where that doesn't really happen in a remote environment. And then, of course, my absolute favorite has been my work life balance. Again, in my previous job, I could have been on the road for a week, 2 weeks, a month. Now that I'm just, you know, home in my home office the entire time, my work-life balance has just been much better. It's just like I can wrap it up at the end of the day, and boom, I don't have to drive an hour home. It's a less, you know, 2 hours off of my entire day with commuting. So that's been amazing. So, what are the challenges of working remotely? So, communication, I would say, first and foremost, as I've moved into remote working. So, remote working makes it harder to read a person's body language, right? Even if we're in a chat with them or anything like that, hearing what they say sometimes can be an issue depending on, you know, their microphone setup or things like that. If we wanted to ask a follow-up question in the hallway or just, you know, go to a person's desk and get clarification, that is obviously not available here. So I'm going to show you some opportunities and some different ways that you can help with communication. Lacking social opportunities. So office culture doesn't exist when there's no office, right? Or so we think. That's why people struggle with the lack of social opportunities, such as like going to get lunch together, going out for dinner, or something like that. You know, so you can still do those type of things. It just changes it a little bit. And I will say personally myself, this loneliness and isolation with our current setup, you know, I was having a difficult day yesterday, and it was great that I was able to reach out to a couple of my coworkers that just kind of lifted me up, you know, from sitting at home all day, day after day, you can get sapped from energy and feeling down. And sometimes when people work remotely, they even mention that they don't feel like they're part of the company, right? So I'm going to share some best practices with you around that. Again, maybe we can lack motivation. Uh, it was great. Actually, someone from Corey, your company, reached out to me yesterday with some questions, and I added this one. It's like, how do you deal with family distractions, right? Um, as far as working from home, you know, I have to share the story that when I first started working remotely, my girlfriend would come home and she'd be like, "Why aren't the dishes done? Why isn't the laundry done?" Right? And it's like, hey, like I'm here, I'm working. It's not like I can just do those things immediately, right? So I have this great system that I'd like to share with you all for family related distractions, which is this. I have this that I put on my door to my home office that just says nope. And if anyone out there sees this on my door, that means, hey, like you cannot bother me right now. I'm in a meeting. And I would encourage you to do the same thing, you know, if it's there. It's very difficult. I have two kids, couple cats, chicken and waffles, which you're going to hear about over time. Like it can be tough. But this is my way of saying, nope, this is my space. This is my time. I need to get this done, right? I know it might sound silly, but these are simple things that we can do moving forward. So let's just go over some like meeting etiquette. So when we are looking at meeting with people remotely, right, like online or anything like that, whether it's video, this is a big one that we use at Dido. just turning on your camera when you can. You know, there might be times, we'll talk about it in a little bit, where you don't have the bandwidth and whatnot. Maybe you're at an airport or a hotel with subpar internet and you're having some issues, and we'll talk about that. But just turning on your camera when you can. So this way, other people see that you're engaged, right? They see those facial expressions that they would see in person. I always say it's best to avoid working on other things or even messing around with your cell phone while you're on a video call. You know, there are times where someone is going to send you a link, you have it open, you start typing, you know, like it's going to appear to the person on the other end that you're disengaged, but they're not. You know, Amanda brought up a great point to me the other day. She's a note taker. So she is constantly with a notepad taking down notes, and this helps her with that, you know, remembering, what would you call that, like kinesthetic learning, if you will, you know, where she's doing this multiple ways so that she can remember and retain this information. And sometimes you just have to let the other person know that. She did that with me. She's like, hey, Dave, you know, when we're talking, you're going to see that I'm taking down notes. Please don't think that I'm working on other things or I'm disengaged. This is what I'm doing. And, you know, you might have to do that same thing for other people. So, again, I think that's a best practice as well. I'm also going to tell you to create the best work environment that you can at home or wherever you're at as possible. Um, for me, I think things like temperature of your workspace, your audio setup, if you're using headphones, whether they're wireless, they're hardwired. Some people use earbuds that have a microphone connected. We'll talk about some of those things. The comfort level of your chair, the desk that you use, it can mean all the difference. I literally went out there and bought like a separate monitor that was on sale. So I had like two working spaces. I bought a really great gaming chair that's super comfortable, that didn't break the bank, that I can sit in all day long, which I typically do to work, right? So those are some really good things that you can do around that. Aside from that, I will tell you to create some work-life boundaries. And what happens when we work from home, and what I've noticed myself, is that when we work from home, working at home and your life kind of get blurred, right? For people that work remotely. And suddenly the work environment and the home life merge into this one never ending entity. It's like I wake up, I check my email, I sit down for breakfast while working, then I keep working throughout the day. And before I know it, it's 10 p.m. and we're still working. So what I will tell you is to just make sure that you set a time that you're going to end and shut off for the day, if at all possible. You know, I will say over the last few nights, you know, I worked actually extra time, extra long, if you will, and it was just because like I was coming up with ideas about this particular webinar that we're doing today, and I didn't feel badly about that at all. And what's great about that is I can go back to my boss and say, hey, you know what? Like I spent this time doing this. I'm just going to take a little bit of extra time for myself, for my family on this day if it doesn't interfere with anything. So that's actually kind of like an advantage that you can have at times. I even had it where a couple times I just had insomnia. I woke up at like 2 in the morning. What did I do? I just like worked for a little bit versus like watching TV or whatever. And you could do whatever you feel best with, honestly. But I will tell you to just make sure that you create boundaries between work and life and what you're comfortable with. Lastly, related to these best practices, as far as the slide goes, is just make yourself visible and available to your coworkers. You know, regardless of whether you're using Google Chat or Slack or Microsoft Teams or whatever messaging software that your company uses, just make yourself available. You know, go in there and show that you're available at your starting time at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. or anything like that. Okay. So these are just a couple of basics. So with that being said, what we're going to do right now is we're just going to take you through a day in the life of a remote worker and what that looks like. Okay, so these are just a real world, this is just like a real world scenario that we might be dealing with. Okay, so for me, the very first thing that I do, I have my little dashboard set up. So Corey, I know that you mentioned your company uses G Suite. This is a great site, which is just gsuite.google.com/dashboard. And this is what I set my homepage as. It's all in alphabetical order. But you know, for me, the very first thing that I like to do is I like to talk to people that I work with, right? So I'm going to go in here and I can see that both Amanda and Gibson are currently working. So again, I was just going to tell you this is my best practice. I don't like to start it off with work-related stuff. So I'm just going to say, hey, Amanda, how are you doing today? And sorry, I'm a horrible typer, by the way, too. So if you see me being a little bit slow. So it looks like Amanda's responding to me. Florida, oh my gosh, wouldn't that be nice? I wish I was in Florida and the sun was shining, right? And of course, Amanda's going to respond to me. Yep, here we go. And then the same thing, like typically what I do is I might start reaching out to additional people on my team. Gibson, I personally work with a team of about 13 people day in and day out. And this is something that I like to do. It might take me a half hour of my day or whatever, but this is what we need to do to connect with people, right? To feel like we're part of the company, to feel like, yeah, glad we can connect like this. Exactly. Um, and it is unique. So one of the other great practices, with companies, you really want to have great culture, right? So, I worked at Apple for 16 years, and personally, when you're around other people, you can create this great culture, and sometimes it's difficult to do remotely. And what our company does, um, even though these are test environments that we see here, these are very normal things. We have this thing that's called water cooler, which is like talk that we would do by the water cooler. And if we look at this, what do we have here first? So Michael Purdue says Microsoft is having a rough time of it in Europe. I've got a friend there that Outlook Online 0365 is down. There may be some other issues starting in Japan on the East Coast. Quarantine appears to be putting them at major stress. So water cooler might be like things like this, right? And I might say, got it. Thank you for the heads up, right? And now this person sees that I'm being involved in that. Here's one of my other favorites, of course, is four-legged friends. So um, I have two cats, Chicken and Waffles. This is Chicken. She obviously needs her space. So we have that. And we have other people that might, send emojis or comment. Gibson, who's with us today. Oh my gosh, your Sergeant Pepper, he got stung by a bee. So he had to visit the vet. You can see his excitement. He obviously does not look very satisfied or excited. And Amanda's like, poor pup, he's doing well. Love the name, by the way, right? So again, I know that these sound potentially silly and stupid, but these are ways that we like talk to everyone day in and day out, right? Did you see something else? Oh yeah, social distancing, way to go, Chicken. Oh my gosh, thank you, Amanda. That was fantastic. Um, and I love this one that Gibson sent. One of my favorite brunch meals, chicken and waffles at David Sanchez, because he knows those are my cat's names, right? So, and then we have things like virtual office, which is basically things that are related to work, right? So you can have all these different setups. We have this great one that I love that's called Kudos. That's like anytime someone is just there for us or anything related to that, or they're just a big help, we want to recognize them. This is a way that we can do it in this remote environment. So, please do not think that these things are silly or anything like that at all, because they are key. They help us to just feel good about what we're doing, good in our workday and things like that. So, I just wanted to share that with you. The next thing that I typically do after talking with people is I immediately go into my calendar. I want to see what I have up and coming today and up and coming for the week. And I'm just going to go into my calendar here for the moment. It's going to take a minute here to build. Honestly, it's usually a lot quicker than this. I think that there's so many people in my building that are on the internet because they're at home and they're streaming everything known to man that it's a little bit slower, but here we go. So we can see that this morning I was meeting with Amanda. Before I had this webinar today, I prepped for it, right? So I'm going to walk through right now some best practices because when we are working remotely, we really need to outline our day and prep for it. So things like, okay, I have this webinar from 1 to 2 today, roughly, right? Well, it takes me some time to prep for that. I have to get together my slide deck, my notes. I might have to touch base with like Amanda, who's helping me out here today. So we just need a little bit of time to prep for that. So just make sure that you schedule that, right? So one of the things that you'll notice here throughout my work week is, I'm Eastern Standard Time. I'm typically taking my lunch roughly from 12 to 1, right? Well, today did not allot for that. And that's actually something that I think is an opportunity versus a challenge, right? We can flex that. That's the really great thing about working remotely is we can take things that we might not need to get done at a scheduled time and potentially push them to another time, right? So we can see here that we have this going on from 1 to 2. I'm gonna give myself a little bit of time afterwards because maybe we have some questions, right? And I'm just gonna say I'm gonna take my lunch from 2:30 to 3:30. So I'm just gonna put in lunch here, and I have color coded my lunch as the color banana, right? So I'm just going to use banana here, and I'm going to save that. So we can see that that is there. Okay. We can also, if we need to, let's say that maybe this lunch doesn't exactly need to be at this time. Maybe we need to like set this up so that this is potentially going to be the time, but we're going to allow ourselves other people to contact us or schedule something with us at need be. So what we can do right here is we can change this from busy, which will not allow them to book that time with us, to free. So what they'll at least see on their end is that I tentatively have my lunch scheduled for this time. However, I'm more than willing to move it if need be, because I have this great thing that's called snacks, right? It's pretty awesome. Um, so that's mainly a lot of the stuff that I am dealing with calendar and like prioritization. So if we look at the next day, we can see that there's something that says due today big pitch that just popped up in my calendar, right? I didn't know anything about this particular thing. So what I want to now do is I want to like see what this particular thing is related to. So I'm going to just go back here now and take a look at my email. There's Gmail. And just want to put this out there again too for any of you G Suite users. Corey, I know that you mentioned that you guys are using it. Even if you're not using this dashboard, which I love, the other option is just going over here to the apps layout and picking it from here as well. So whichever way you want to do it. And immediately I can see that invitation that Amanda sent me. It's like due today, big pitch prep materials, Friday from 4 to 4:30, right? And I can see the time. I'm obviously going to say yes. She said, let's talk about this. Oh, perfect. Okay, so now I have this set up. It's in my calendar. I'm going to take a look at that. And we can see that she wants to have these materials ready between 4 and 4:30 tomorrow. Okay, and I've agreed to this. So now I need to see what it is that those materials are related to. Okay, so let's just do this for the time being. I'm going to schedule something from, actually, I'm not going to do that yet, so sorry. I need to see what Amanda has going on tomorrow. We can see that myself, anything that's here in white are free times that I have available. And I'm going to say that I need to meet with Amanda. So over here on the side, I go to meet with, say, Amanda. Let's try this again. There we go. There's Amanda. And I also need to, let me switch this view. So sorry about that. Change this from scheduled to week. I apologize. So I want to see what Amanda has going on. And aside from that, I also want to see, I think that Gibson would be a great person to get involved in this. So I'm going to see what Gibson also has available. Okay. And here's the really amazing thing about the way this works. So with Meet With, I can see that anything over here with these blocks, with these diagonal lines here, it means that this person is not available. These are typically, it means that it's outside of their working hours and it's based on time zone. Here at Dido, we've got multiple people all across the United States. And right now I can see that I have a block of time from 12 p.m. till 5 p.m., right? Right here, from here to here, because it's in anything that's in here that's in white means it's available. This means it's outside. Anything that is blue is me. Anytime that is orange, anything that's orange is Amanda, and anything that might be this darker purple color is Gibson. And I mean, it obviously looks like Gibson does nothing for us because there's nothing going on. Sorry about that, Gibson. I know that you're in this right now. And that was just a really bad joke. But I do want to set up some time today where the three of us can get together and we can talk about this particular project, right? So I'm going to go right here to 4 p.m. today. And you know what? I don't really need more than 30 minutes. So I'm just going to kind of click here. I have my default time set to 30 minutes. I'm just going to say, let's talk about, what was this called? Big pitch, right? Let's talk. Told you I couldn't type about big pitch. Now, you can click down here on more options, and when we do that, you know, we do have the ability to do multiple things here. We can make it repeat. The thing that I love about G Suite here is it instantly creates a Hangout for us. So I don't have to do anything extra to set up something that's related to video. If the person needs to dial in, they can do that and insert a PIN number. So all this stuff is basically included here in G Suite. We have worked with clients that, you know, use Zoom. So you can see that there's a Zoom plugin. There's multiple plugins for anything that's related to that. But obviously, everything's here included in G Suite. We love Google Hangouts. So Google Hangouts is going to let us, with our version, have up to 250 people in this meeting. Aside from that, we do have the ability to add a live stream, which would allow an additional 10,000 people to view this particular presentation, if you will. However, they do have to be within your organization to add these additional 10,000 people, if that makes sense. Okay. From here, I have a default notification that's going to remind everyone involved, myself, Amanda, and Gibson, 10 minutes prior to. And for me, I like to do this other best practice because I like to consider myself a master of time and space, and time management is key for me. That 1 minute till, it's going to let everyone else know that, hey, in 1 minute, you have to talk about the big pitch here that we're going to do moving forward. Okay. If I wanted to add a description, which I feel is a very good best practice while working remotely, you want to let other people know what's going on. So we would type that information here. And then if there were any files related to this, which there is, we would say add an attachment. So I'm going to go to add an attachment here. And I know that this brainstorming session for the big pitch is something that I need to add. So I'm going to say select. And I'm going to say, looking forward to talking about the big pitch. You know, and of course, I told you I can't type. Love smart type here. And after I have everything here, I'm just going to simply click save. And now I'm going to send notifications to both Gibson and Amanda. Okay. And here it is on my calendar right here. Let's talk about the big pitch. So, you know, as it stands right now, I can see that I've got everything going on here. I know that we're going to talk about this, but you know what? Another thing that I want to do, I want to schedule some time to work on this particular document, right? So that when I'm moving into this particular meeting that, so sorry about that I have some content ready to go, right? So we can schedule any of that here in the calendar if need be, okay? So now that we've kind of gone through that, I just want to like take a couple of minutes and just talk about what we've done so far. So immediately, the very first thing that I've done is I've opened up my chat. I've talked to other people, here at my company. We've talked through things that we want to do today. I've checked with them just to see what's going on with them. I've looked at our rooms that we have available, right? I've also gone into Gmail. I've checked my mail. I've found some things that are due today. I can also now see that after I sent both Amanda and Gibson this link, that they've both accepted. This is also a really great thing that you'll notice inside of this is whenever we look at a particular meeting, we can actually see the people that are confirmed and whatnot as well. It's pretty awesome. Okay. And then from there, what we've done is we've moved into the calendar. We've basically set out our day. We've prioritized all of our meetings. We've set up a meeting with everyone involved. We've added a document. We created a video call. So that's kind of where we're at right now. So let's just fast forward a little bit past all this stuff. And we're going to go into this, let's talk about the big pitch, if you will, right? And I'm going to go to join meeting. So this is starting up here, and just want to check in with both Amanda and Gibson. Hey everyone, how you doing? Just want to check in with both Amanda and Gibson to see whether they've received this. Oh, I could see Amanda's in the call. Potentially
Hey,
Gibson's
David.
going to join us, but yep. Hey Amanda, how are you doing?
Hey, I got
So
your invite. I joined the Hangout. Is that okay?
that's perfect. That's great. So what I'm going to do now is just join this session. And right now we can see, hey Amanda, how you doing? I do. So this is, look, here's Gibson with his, I love it. He obviously has the dog picture happening. So this is something that we might do if there's things kind of happening in the background with the meeting, which again is a very normal thing that could potentially happen. And look, Gibson is saying, hey, my camera isn't working right now. There's all these different factors that could potentially play into this remote working scenario where we just can't allot for. So we have ways of kind of fixing that for everyone, if you will. So both of these two have muted their mics temporarily. And we're going to talk about that as well as their video. So the video, as I'm looking at this, it appears to be a little bit choppy to me. I don't know if the rest of you are seeing this. So the very first thing I'm going to show you how to do is how to correct that. So if I just go down in here into my settings, what I'm going to do, again, we can kind of see it lagging here a minute. Under my microphone, I am using a headset, as you can see. Again, you might see me lagging a little bit because of the bandwidth. So I've set my stereo headset, which I think is one of the best things that you can do to eliminate background noise and things like that. I'm also going to look at my settings here for video. Okay, so there's some things here instantly that we can change that will create a bit of a less lag. This is my internal camera, which is broadcasting at 720p HD. I'm going to change that to half of the resolution. And my receive resolution here, where this says high definition, I'm going to change this to standard definition, which is one video at a time. And this is going to significantly increase the performance of my audio and video. So now, as you're seeing me, things are happening like faster in real time, right? Gibson says video quality has improved a lot, right? And that's a very normal situation that can happen. Again, maybe we're working remotely in an airport or a hotel that just doesn't have that bandwidth, right? We can instantly increase that right here just by doing those simple settings. Before you do that, one of the things that you can do is exactly what both Amanda and Gibson have done, which is just temporarily muting their video by clicking on this button right down here. Okay. So that being said, before you hop off here, Amanda, let's just pretend, if you will, for me, that your audio is on. Go ahead and turn your audio on for me. She's going to unmute her microphone. And not sure if we're going to hear it right now. Maybe, Amanda, turn up your volume as much as you can. There we go. And go ahead and unmute yourself again. There you go. So there you go. See how we hear that feedback right now? She's typing on her keyboard. Oftentimes, depending on the setup, we might hear other people talking. We might hear this feedback loop. I always say, yeah, thunder fingers. That's a great name for it. You know, sometimes I always like to think of it as like the Friday the 13th, where you hear these echoes and whatnot. So the really cool thing about most chat software like this is, even if we say to the person, hey, Amanda, can you mute yourself? And she's hitting like the mute button on her keyboard or something like that. She's not muting it in the software. Anyone has the ability to help out with this particular thing that happens frequently, and we can mute the other person. And what I'm going to do is just go right over here to Amanda's name. I'm going to hit the downward facing area, and then I'm going to click on the microphone, and it says mute Amanda for everyone on the call. Only Amanda can unmute themselves. So I'm going to mute her, and now we don't hear her huge thunder fingers, right? We don't hear the clicking and tapping on the keyboard. So you know, that's something that we might say right off the bat. Hey, I would like everyone for you to mute yourselves before, you know, we get going with this, so that we're getting less feedback. What I would like to do next is just simply show you something really cool and amazing that Google has, which is the captions, right? So I'm going to turn on these captions temporarily. And while I'm talking, hopefully it's not going to be too significant, but because we're using this GoToMeeting software and we're using Hangouts, you might hear a little bit of an echo temporarily, okay? Sorry, Dave, okay, so Gibson's got to take off. Okay, so he's let us know that. And we're going to talk about the chat portion of this here in a moment. So Gibson left. He basically has to get on another call. So what I'm going to do right now is just simply turn on my microphone now that I have my captions turned on, and you're going to see how accurately just me speaking, Google can turn this into text perfectly. And you're going to find that there's very, very, very few mix-ups when it comes to this. It is so insanely accurate. It's amazing. I'm going to show you here momentarily where we can record our presentation, and all of this stuff can be included. So maybe, you know, you might have to have captions turned on. You have a person here that can't deal with audio in real time, right? It's like they're with and around other people. So they can only look at this via the caption side of things. So that's why we would use captions. Pretty amazing. Look at how accurate it is too. I don't think it's messed up one time. Love it. All right, so I just turned the captions portion of this off temporarily, and I also turned my mic off just so we're not getting any additional feedback. Another great thing that we may need to do, so Gibson just left our meeting, right? However, we need Gibson to be included in on the rest of our meeting, and we want him to know what's happening. So what I'm going to do is just show you how we can simply record the meeting, or the rest of the meeting, if you will. So I've just gone here to these three dots. I'm going to go to record meeting. It's very important that you go over this with everyone that's involved, and I'm going to ask you all this as well. We're not going to do it for very long, but I just want to show you how it works. So you always have to ask for consent. So recording a meeting in any way, shape, or form without the consent of all the participants may be illegal and actionable. You should obtain consent to record the meeting from all participants, including external guests who join late. So I'm just going to say to you, and again, I'm not going to do it for very long. I just want to show you how it works. Hey, do you have my permission? I can see Amanda here says that I have I have her permission. And for the rest of you, Again, you're just going to be witnessing this. You're not going to be participating in this. So I'm just recording a little bit of this again so that we can share this out with our team members at a later time. We saw that Gibson had to bounce because he had to be somewhere else in another meeting. So we're doing that. Now, momentarily, and again, this is just my bandwidth right now. I think of everyone involved in my building. There it goes. It's finally recording. We can tell that it's recording right up here in the upper left-hand corner. And where this ultimately records is in Google Drive. It'll say Meet Recordings. I'm going to show you that in a little bit. But let's just say at this point, we're done recording again. Amanda and I are going to do a few other things, but I just don't want to record everything. I just wanted to show you how you can enable that. I am going to show you how to share that in a little bit. So we're just going to stop that particular recording. And it tells us right here, the recording will be saved in my Google Drive. A link to the recording will be added to the event, and everyone in the guest list will be given access. And I'm going to show that again here in a little bit. So again, we're still here in Hangouts, right? And I'm with Amanda. We have this project that's going on for tomorrow. And what I need to do is I need to send her a link of this, right? So Amanda, can you hear me okay right now?
I can.
Perfect. So you had sent me a link to this particular document before. And do you have access to that, or do you just need me to send you a link to that right now? What would work best for you?
You know what? I think I have it open, but I have so many tabs open right now. Could you send me that link right in our Hangout so I can just click on it?
Perfect. Yeah, so I'm just going to go here again into my dashboard. I know that I have that saved in Google Drive. Here it is. It's called the Big Brainstorm, the Big Pitch. Let me open this up. Just going to double click it here. And we can see that this is currently empty, right? We don't have anything here. And right up here at the top is my web link to this. So I'm just going to select this, copy that, and then I'm going to go right here into the chat. And I'm just going to paste this. So not only can we type things, like you can see here, that this history of things that people have said, but we can actually insert hyperlinks, whether they're to documents or to websites, a YouTube page, you name it. We can do that here virtually while Amanda and I are still kind of talking, right? So we've got this video hangout. It's not optimal for her to share her camera. It is for me. So we're still talking in real time. And right now, what we're about to do is I've shared this document and we're about to brainstorm together. So if I look over here in the top upper right-hand corner, I can see that Amanda is here, right? So you can see Amanda jumping around here in the timeline. She can add to this. Again, this is that virtual environment where we can't work together at the same exact time in person, but we can do it here, right? So she's saying some things here. I'm going to say that, let me go here, and I'm going to say, oh my gosh, what is happening? I'm going to say, let's talk about working remotely, right? Or whatever that looks like. Our message up here at the top, we can say that with the proper state of mind and set up, you too can work remotely, right? And at the same time, we can see that Amanda's adding things here. She just added an image of a laptop, You can see things here. On top of that, you can actually add tips. So topic ideas where this is time-saving tips. We can see Amanda said at 1:45 added this, and she tagged me. So you can do an @ and type the name. What do you think? And I can click on this and I can say, I think this is great. Again, if I could type, and I can hit resolve because I've resolved it. So it hides it from the discussion. And we can see here that Amanda added this laptop, right? And Google Docs gives us this really cool quick thing that we can do right down here at the bottom where we can hit Explore. And then, we can literally go through our hard drive. We can go through um, Google Drive and things like that. And we can add documents, or I'm sorry, we can add like pictures and things like that easily to this. Um, so Amanda, what do you think we want to happen after this pitch is done? I'm going to correct my spelling here. So again, Amanda can hear me. She can move anywhere inside of this document. And again, Amanda, what do you think we want to happen after the pitch? You want to type anything there?
Sure.
And again, just so you can see where she's typing, at the same time we have this hangout happening, right? So we're talking, we could potentially see each other video wise, and we can just talk through this in real time the same way that we have like a dry erase board or anything. Yeah, there you go. Being able to prioritize our time and get stuff done. Absolutely amazing, right? So we've gone through that. Now, one of the other things that we can do while we're in a Hangout is actually share our screen. And what I'm going to do here is just go right down or right back to our particular tab that we have open. I'm going to say present now. And we can present our entire screen or a window. Now, I am going to present my entire screen. I have two monitors hooked up. This is my secondary monitor. That's why we're seeing it. I'm going to choose this one. And I'm just going to simply, while she's working on what she's doing, we're just going to kind of pretend here. I'm going to have this slide deck open from our presentation today, and it should build here in just a moment. There we go. And you can see everything that I have going on here. Now, as a best practice, one of the things that I will tell you is that as you are screen sharing, please make sure, regardless of whether you're using our Mac or a PC, that you're turning off your notifications. If you're turning off your Windows notifications, you're going down here, Focus Assist, and going to off. And if you're using a Mac, you're going to the upper right-hand corner. You'll see some dots with some lines. You click on that, you scroll to the top, and you say turn off notifications. Now, what I had to do additionally myself, just to make sure my email notifications and my calendar notifications were not coming through, I did have to go into, just so you know, I'm just going to show you this quickly before we move on. In my calendar settings, as I've gone to calendar and settings here, I've scrolled down to this part, which is desktop notifications, and I've turned them off. Okay. And then I've also done the same thing in Gmail. I've gone to my settings and I've done that as well. And that's just because I don't want every time someone replies to something or sends me something that it shows up here to interrupt our meeting, right? So that's kind of just like a really good best practice as well. So right now, Amanda and I have done quite a bit on this document. We've recorded our presentation. So as I mentioned to you, first I'm going to stop our presentation. It's going to say stop presenting. I would actually hit stop record, even though I've done that already. And now the thing that I need to do is Gibson, had to leave us, right? He had to be somewhere else. I just want to make sure that he has the rest of that recording. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to simply go to the dashboard, and I'm going to go back into Google Drive. As I mentioned to you before, everything ends up in this folder that is called Meet Recordings right here. Open that up. And here we go, right here, 149. Here's the ending of it. So I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to share this now with Gibson. There he is. And you know what? I'm also going to share this with Amanda just so that she can use this as a reference point as well in case we need to. I'm just going to say here is the recording from our meeting today. Please let me know. I'll fix this after the fact, sorry. So let me know if you have any questions. I don't know what it is about my typing, ladies and gentlemen, but I have issues. There we go. I'm gonna hit send. So now both Amanda and Gibson are gonna get a link to this video. Really cool thing about this is, typically we might not be able to record or send a video that we've recorded that might be that length of time, right? But because it's being stored in Drive, what we're doing is we're actually sending them a live link to that particular file where they'll be able to view it and play it through the web browser or be able to download it after the fact. All right. So that being said, Amanda, anything else you want to cover in our Hangouts before we move on, or are you good?
I think we could just show that the recording's also automatically attached to the event. So for all the attendees, it's automatically shared. Once we close out of the recording and the call, then we're set.
Okay, so we'll do that here. I'm going to close out this window. I'm going to close out this, and let's say we go back to our dashboard and we're looking here at the event.
And it can take just a little bit of time after you've closed out for the recording to be attached here, but where David's showing right next to where the document is, that attachment would show as well for the video call.
Yep. And what'll typically happen is you'll get an email in your inbox that'll say your recording is now available. And typically once you get that in your inbox or receive that message, as Amanda mentions, it's going to show up right here under that particular attachment. Yeah. And Amanda, I'm gonna go ahead and let you take over here from here a little bit.
Okay, yeah, thanks, David. Can we make that full screen just for a second here?
Yeah, so sorry about that, yes.
Yeah, no problem. So as David had mentioned at the start of our session, we'll share the slide deck and any other supplemental materials we think will be helpful for you to get started being new to remote work. So we'll be sending that to anyone that's registered for the session. We know a couple of people had to hop off here early. The recording will be sent to you as well. There'll be some more content that Dido releases over the next coming weeks. We know that this was a pretty quick turnaround to get information to you about this session. So we're also looking at offering this particular session again. And so if you have anybody else in mind that would really benefit from attending or viewing this session, let us know. You can certainly reach out to us. So we've created a one-pager of some quick tips here that we'll share with you. There's a whole bunch of other things that we've learned during our time that we're really excited to release more content for you on in both the webinar format, the one-pager format, and some more blog posts. So we definitely encourage you to follow us and reach out to us. We're also open to any consultation that you might need. We are your partner through all of this. We understand everybody has unique needs, even though we're all working similarly now remotely, even though it's a bit of a world turned upside down here. So we're really here as your guide through all of this, and we really want to know how we can specifically help you. So you're more than welcome to reach out to inquiries@didoweb.com and follow up there with anything specific. We've also created a quick survey for you if you just wanted to type in any information that just comes to mind, if you have ideas for other sessions, or just want to tell us what's pressing on your mind right now and see what we can do with it and make content to really help you out there. We've also linked on this final slide our website, so you can see more about what Dido offers as a whole. We have tons of different capabilities, and this session was focused more specifically on our cloud collaborative tools for productivity. So really focusing on the G Suite platform, but there's a ton of other knowledge and general tips outside of this that we'll share with you guys in the coming weeks. So definitely want to hear from you, and we'll send you those materials after the session. Thank you to everybody who submitted questions during the session. If there are any that we didn't respond to, we'll also follow up with you via email if we haven't responded here. Thanks everyone for your time.